here we are. We're about a month into this project, maybe more. I built this low wall because there was a wall here that was just a paver on its edge, and that had fallen down and was pretty loose and dangerous in parts. So I've got rid of the pavers and I'm putting in these maybe 600s. So I had the little tiny square ones, they were all over the shop, so I'm putting in the big 900s. So I've got all the pavers in position. I've got some mortar I'm going to mix up, and then I've got some pavers to cut because I've got to go around that pole and that pole. So there's a bit in this job, but it's my goal for today. I've got my man inside painting. No footage of the painting because not a job I'm good at. Because we took the tiles and other floor coverings off, our doors aren't tall enough. So I'm going to add something to the bottom there so they get closer to the ground. So I've got my plane, I've got 5 pieces of 10mm clamped together, and I'm going to buzz them down to 35mm, the same thickness as the doors. Some of the doors were just way too high off the ground by the time we removed their floor covering, especially the tiled room. Here we are. We are seeing some very poorly constructed, I don't know what you'd call this, patio, but it's obviously over time it's rotted and they've just put bits of pine in, and the pine does not fare too well in this West Australian weather. So I've got up there, I've unscrewed all the roof sheets. I've already taken 6 or so off. So it's just these last 3 I'll slide off. Yeah, that's some of it down. Now it's just got to get all those rusty bolts out. It's going to come down like that. See this? Used floor timbers, and then this massive span. It was a bit hairy getting up there to undo it. Alright, so this original frame was very rotten and they just infilled it with a heap of treated pine that was nailed and screwed, and oh, it was a mess. Roofing screws and cabinet screws, total mess, but we've got it all out. So the next thing will just maybe be pushing it over because it's pretty weak. All right, so we just went about it in a systematic way, made sure it didn't fall on us, had my housemate there helping out. The back of this garden was very overgrown, but you couldn't get anything around all this patio. So when we got it down, I was able to get in there with a bobcat, and it had the concrete blocks for the foundations that the stirrups were on, so I was able to rip them out with the bobcat. The bobcat made pretty light work of it. Ah, nani kore? Dekte nai jan. There. Desho? This little wall. Yeah, we've gone around. We had all this yellow tape. We went and tuned up all the edges. We might have just forgot a little bit there. Oh. You still got the paint out? Oh yeah. You want more tape? So we went around with the yellow tape on the edges, tuned up all the edges. There was about 10mm of where you could see the mortar there. But we were just pulling it and we just found one spot that we missed. So we'll just tune that up. All right, here's the backyard. It's looking a bit dirty. We sorted the water pressure out yesterday. It was only a tap not turned on all the way. So I'm going to get in here with the bobcat. I'm going to get rid of that concrete there. There's a post there I've got to get rid of. I've got to smooth out that dirt. I'm just going to batter all this back back to the back fence. Won't be level, but you can't have everything. And that should be it. There's a little bit of dirt out the front to move. So I've just got to reacquaint myself with the Bobcat and then I can get on with it. Hired this Bobcat from a little shop called Hire Gear here in Maddington. Really good service from old mate over there. Now, I was getting this bogged as soon as I got it loaded up too much, and my dad suggested after the fact that you should wet the ground, especially in this Perth sand. The ground is very soft, so if you load up, you can bog up. Especially when I was down in this lower part, ripping out all this horrible asparagus fern, which I did set fire to just to make it a bit easier. But, yeah, as you can see, when trying to rip this out, it's quite deep and I'm getting bogged there, trying not to make a mess. But I just wheel rolled it all and I was able to get it all out without getting too bogged. But yeah, I should have just wet all the ground down there where it was soft and I would have had a much easier time of it. Hello and welcome to some of the final days of this renovation project. It's taking up my will to live. So far, I'm going to be spending about 20,000 by the time the last thing goes in, and that's the blinds. So I picked up my stainless steel splashbacks. This one fit okay. There was a bit of a gap here. Filled that up with tile grout. Now, some of my others were more problematic. I had cut this one got this made in one piece. But I was a little bit tight here, so they just cut that and now I'll have a seam there that you can see. Not ideal, but better than getting it made again. But they did give me a very reasonable price. Now my oven frame was too tight, so they put this back in and gave it a little bit more of a bend. Tell me it's perfect. Oh, it's ever so close to perfect. Very fine margin for error here. But I think that's going to go all right. Before it was that tight, I couldn't really open this door. Now that works fine-ish. All right. So I've just got to work out an ingenious method to clamp these on. And then I've got some kickboards as well down here. But I've got to do some painting inside the cupboards first. Those chipboard shelves are pretty much impossible to glue contact onto. There's my contact paper or plastic or whatever it's made out of. It just wouldn't stick to that chipboard. So I'm going to give those chipboard shelves a quick paint and we might be in business. So what I'm going to do, there's a bit of a lump on the brick here. I'll have to bolster that off and then I'm going to have to work out a way that I can clamp this on. It's not going to be easy, but life wasn't meant to be easy. So there's my very crude clamping contraption. Oh, I did get a bit of glue on here, but I did just wipe it off with a tissue and that did the job. So my gaps there are pretty good. This overlap in the corner is not exactly how I planned it and not how I told the shop to do it, but they knew better than I did and it's worked out perfectly. And I just had to pop the pins out of these Aldi clamps, both pins on both sides, swap that around and just push that through all the way, and they work fine as a pusher rather than a clamper.